Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be solving 2012 biology JAMB questions. So in this series I'm going to be solving from 1 to 20. So in the next video we're going to see from 21 to 40. So let's just get on straight to it and make it really fast. So now, first question, they are saying here that which of the following possesses a mammary gland? So now we have to take note of this mammary gland. So when you look at all these are aquatic animals, right? But you have to know that specifically a whale though is an aquatic animal, is also known as a mammal. So whales possess mammary glands. Let's go to the next question. Indigenous method of renewing and maintaining soil fertility is by what? So how do we renew soil fertility? So now I'm planting one crop type, that's monocropping. That does not help. Crop rotation and shifting cultivation. Crop rotation is very crucial, but let's check the other options. Adding inorganic fertilizers. Inorganic fertilizers can affect the soil. Clearing farms by burning. This affects soil microorganisms. So basically the answer here is crop rotation. So next, the most likely first colonizers of a bare rock are. Succession is the process whereby a barren land or an abandoned place is being taken over by a new species. The thing that is taken over in an abandoned rock, it has to definitely be a lichen. So lichen are the first colonizers. You have to understand. Just take note of that lichens are the first colonizers of a bare rock. Next, the disease caused by waterborne pathogen include the following except. So now basically if you want to solve this type of questions, you have to use the elimination method. So it is very simple to get and also very easy to fail. So you have to understand how we can solve this. So now you might be speculating between tuberculosis and typhoid, but here they specifically said waterborne. Tuberculosis has to do with airborne disease, so our answer here is typhoid and cholera. So hope you understood that. Number 5, an arthropod that is destructive at early stage of its life is what? So basically a butterfly is destructive at its early stage of life because at the early stage of life it is known as a caterpillar and it feeds on leaves. Whereas at the early stage of its life, organisms living in an estuarine habitat are adapted to what? So basically an estuarine habitat is where marine water and fresh water meet together, so there is fluctuations of salinity, so the amount of saltiness is not constant. So now why fluctuations in salinity is our answer here. So just take note of that. Let's go. Plants of temperate origin can be grown in tropical areas in the vegetation zones of what? So now what are temperate origins? Temperate origins are like when you draw the earth, there is divided into about 6 sections. That's the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, the temperate region, the North Pole and the South Pole. So now when you talk about tropical areas in vegetation zones, tropical areas are like the US, places like that. Yeah. So now temperate origin can be grown in tropical areas, the vegetation zone of montane forests. So that's the answer, but you can also go and research on it if you don't really understand temperate forests. So next question now. So basically looking at this, so what diagram does this, what does it look like? So basically this is an animal cell, so we have to first of all study the diagram. So now the organelle responsible for hereditary is what? So now firstly you have to know that hereditary is the transfer of what? Of traits or characteristics from parents to offspring. So now hereditary is in the nucleus. So which letter here marks the nucleus? That's II marks the nucleus. So now let's go to the next question. The part labeled IV is what? So the part labeled IV is also known as the endoplasmic reticulum. So they have rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We'll get to that in another video. So which of the following is involved in secondary thickening of plants? So now whenever it comes to your mind secondary thickening of plants, always know that cambium cells are involved. Cambium is, it helps in increasing the radius of tree trunks, things like that. So just note that. So therefore answer will be vascular cambium and core cambium. So next, an animal body that can be cut along its axis in any plane. So thinking of a circle, from any plane you cut a circle, as far as it passes through the center, the two other sides would be equal. So and the circle can be called a radial object. So whenever they say something can be cut from any part to give two identical parts, just know that it will give you radial symmetry. So it's a radial symmetry animal, such as Hydra. Hydra is a very good example. A yellow maize plant and all fruits obtained are of yellow seeds. When they are crossbred, yellow seeds and white seeds are obtained in a ratio 3:1. The yellow seed is said to be what? So now yellow seeds represent 3, white seeds represent 1. So if we do the cross, if you check in this one that is a white seed, yellow is not appearing there. Therefore, yellow is a dominant trait. You understand, right? Yellow is a dominant. The presence of slit rows pneumatophores. So now pneumatophores are also known as what? Also known as breathing roots. This, when you see these features here, what do they give you? They always talk about mangrove swamps. Mangrove swamps. They normally have silt roots, breathing roots, sunken stomata, and salt glands. Adaptive features for mangrove. They normally stay in swamp areas where it's a little bit salty. That's why you have salt glands. So let's take note of that. So now number 14. Which of the following plant structures lacks a waterproof cuticle? So a waterproof cuticle is something that does not allow water to pass through it. So now the roots is it is absorbent of water, so therefore the roots does not have waterproof cuticle. The feature that links birds to reptiles is the possession of what? So birds and reptiles, they both have scales, so that's what links them together. So scales links bird and reptiles. So use the diagram. So this is the female genital system. The developing embryo usually contained in the part labeled. So now the developing embryo is implanted to the uterus, and the uterus is this part you are seeing here, this part. So it is to the part II. So now next, the function of the part III. So now this III, it gives us the ovaries. It helps in supplying the eggs to the oviduct. So now it helps in producing eggs. Yeah. So next, plants that show secondary growth are found among what? So now when we talk about secondary growth is a very, very keen characteristics of dicotyledonous plant. In the mammalian male reproductive system, the part that serves as a passage for both urine and semen is called what? The ureter.